Well, hello everyone and good morning. Thank you so much for coming for today's event. My name is John Ostapowicz and I'm the editor-in-chief here of the Jambar at YSU. And today, of course, is in observance of yesterday's 8th annual Student Press Freedom Day, which is put on by studentpressfreedom.org. As we celebrate this event, it's a great day to be surrounded by friends, colleagues, faculty, and most importantly, the community. Before we start, I would like to give a big thank you to the members of the Jambar for coming up with speeches and presentations as they take time away from their classes for this event here today. Also, a huge thank you for the faculty for helping these students prepare themselves for the future, and of course, Diane Fitzpatrick of the Youngstown Press Club for helping us put on this event today. And also a huge thank you to our sponsors, the Business Journal and WKBN here for helping us put on this event, as well as Anderson's for providing the food here today. As we begin today's event, I have to ask a question. What does it mean to have the right to a free press? For many, it offers a different context. But on behalf of the Jambar and its beliefs, it's having the absolute freedoms guaranteed by the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution to do our jobs to keep the campus and its community informed of university topics without concerns of being silenced. Throughout my 4 years as a member of the Jambar, this past year has presented several challenges, many of which were covered by the Jambar as well as several other publications in the Mahoning Valley. Whether it's covering a tragic event such as the Realty Tower to Ohio's recent legalization of marijuana for adult use. The hard-hitting topics that the Jambar was fortunate to cover was because of the freedom of press guaranteed under that First Amendment. As a student journalist who has aspirations to eventually go out into the quote-unquote real world, the aspects of YSU student media has done just that. I've learned how to refrain from personal bias, accurately report on information to the best of my ability, and lead this organization so that the younger generations may someday go out into the real world with experiences to tackle unimaginable challenges. The greatest aspect of our student media here at YSU is its continued commitment to student experiences. Now, there's a story I love to tell, and some people here have heard it a million times, and some people, this may be the first time you've heard it. In 2022, I had the opportunity to go to the Ohio State University for a baseball game in which YSU lost in extra innings. Throughout the game, I made a friend with one of the reporters for the Lantern, which is Ohio State's student newspaper. When he told me what he said to the question I had asked, it has stuck with me forever. He asked me if I had ever covered a baseball game before, and I replied with yes, several. He then said, "Are you a senior?" And I replied with, "No, I am a freshman." And he replied back with, "I am a senior, and this is the first baseball game I have ever covered in my 4 years as a member of the Lantern." I know there's a lot of talk between students all the time saying that this was never their first choice. They wanted to go to a bigger university, the experiences of a bigger sports program. And yeah, all of that is nice, but someone who works for the Jambar has more hands-on experience can say they know more than someone who has a degree with a Buckeye leaf on it. And students come out with a lot less student debt. With the help of student press freedom and the ability to work so closely with one another, we've accomplished a lot in 1 year than most collegiate newspapers can say they've accomplished in 4. As much as I would love to sit here and brag about the experiences that YSU offers, it's not a competition. But as a journalist, we love to talk about the facts rather than the opinions. Here's a fact that a lot of people cannot ignore. You're never too old to learn, and you're never too young to become wise. Away from the Jambar, I do a lot of work under the ESPN brand, commenting on various sporting events, but one of the most important gigs I've ever gotten out of that experience is working with the athletics department for men's basketball halftime. If it wasn't for that experience and having to adjust quickly, especially to situations at a relatively very fast pace, I wouldn't be where I am here today. That itself leads in the freedom of press, especially with Kevin Davis and Dan McCormick, had enough faith in a 19-year-old at the time to go on TV unscripted and accurately report on the first half of basketball. Whose idea was that? I have not a clue, but I am thankful for that opportunity on that very day. And by the way, you don't have to be an MCOM, journalism, public relations, or communication major to play a key role in this industry, as I switched from music education my first year. Now, I started out at the beginning of this speech before we covered several and many different topics, and what it really means to have the freedom of press at your fingertips as a student, and what that means to you and us as well. During today's speeches, you'll hear various experiences covering those aspects, from student athletes' perspectives to brand management and the history of our various student medias here at YSU, and to even the sense of family that we've created in the Jambar, unlike any newsroom that you will be a part of. But of course, I could stand up here and talk all day long, but without further ado, Mr. Matthew Sotlar.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Matt Sotlar. If you don't know me, you do now. I am a reporter, I am an editor, I am a columnist. That's all for the Jambar. I also anchor for Jambar TV, and I am a DJ for Rookery Radio. I think that's all of it. And I'm going to talk to you about our Jambar, more specifically, the history of the Jambar, the 94-year journey that we've been on. So first and foremost, this is the first Jambar. It looks a lot different than what we have now because we don't have the fantastic, media team that we have with Madison and I believe Chris back there. They do fantastic work for us. This was our first Jambar, and it was hand printed on a mimeograph machine. Now that was a printing press that you had to hand roll, so this was all done by hand, and it only cost 2 cents. Now it's free, but back then, when you're starting up a newspaper, you got to make some money. And that was issued on January 14th, 1931, so we just passed that 94-year mark. Our first editor-in-chief was Burke Lydon. Burke Lydon was born in 1909. He was the son of Irish parents, William and Bridget Lydon, and he originally started out at Ohio State. He was a Youngstown native who went to Ohio State University, but in 1931, he matriculated to what was Youngstown College, now Youngstown State. And in 1931, he decided that he needed to start a school newspaper, and alongside their first secretary, Frida Flint, the Jambar was born. The Jambar has covered many major events, both on campus and off campus. This was their first editorial team back in 1931. And no matter what editorial team we had, no matter what reporter we had, we always reported the best and the worst news with unbiased grace. This includes the Pearl Harbor attacks. This came 3 days after the attacks. That was the day the paper came out. And they noted that national unity and sentiment and action is upon us, regardless of past or present feelings. This is from the editorial team itself. As you can see, it was very, deep. There was a lot of pain in this one single editorial. We also covered the end of World War II, and this is something that I didn't know, something that you may have not known, but 850 Jambars were sent to the armed services during World War II. And that means that servicemen that lived in Youngstown, or people who had family in Youngstown, could know what's going on in their hometown. And these are some letters that were written back. They said, "I was very pleasantly surprised a few days ago to receive 2 editions of the Jambar. And what a boon to a fellow's morale they were." I love that old slang. It says, "My deepest congratulations to the editor and staff of the Jambar, and my deepest appreciations." And at the bottom, you can see that there's something great about press freedom. He notes that now that the war is over and censorship has been lifted, I can give you an idea of what I've been doing. And he traveled all over from India to Rangoon to Burma, which I believe is now Myanmar, and China. And he noted that the first American flag to fly over Rangoon was from his outfit, and he was from this area. We also covered the Kent State shootings in 1970, one of the worst events in American history, at least to me. And this was a whole part that the editorial team put in for a Youngstown native, Sandra Schuer, who was killed down in Kent State. And they noticed something very strong that I noted. It is impossible to sympathize with any spontaneous National Guard decision to fire on any students when one is involved personally with one of the students killed. And they noted, not only is her death unfortunate, as newsmen put it, it is senseless and without reason. You notice that this strong, very honest way of speaking is from the great thing that we have, the freedom of press. We have also received AP awards, and this was in 1973. This came out in the first edition after the U.S. had began to withdraw from Vietnam. If you notice that we received the first class rating back then, which is second best, I'd take that. We did very good for rating. We got a very good rating for news sources. We did very good photography, except for a little bit of clarity issues, but that's just whatever. And they suggested that we cover more unusual phenomenon at YSU. It seems that in 1973 there was a lack of unusual phenomenon. But overall, we still became first class. We also covered the 1997 state championship. This came out about 2 weeks after we won the state championship because we took that on December 20th, 1997. We beat McNeese State. And I can tell you that this edition, if you go through it, it is all about this one game. This might have been the biggest story we reported on. You can see the crowd cheering, and there's people from all over Youngstown that they reached out to. And the one fellow said that it was a good excuse to get away from the kids and the Christmas rush. And he says, as his wife says, as a season ticket holder, it's been great to see the team rebuild, and it's exciting to see them get here again to a championship game. And hopefully one day we'll take another championship, and hopefully we'll get to have a great headline like that. Unfortunately, we also covered the September 11th attacks. This was another full issue edition where it was mostly discussing the attacks. They discussed how Arab Americans could be treated. They discussed how the Valley had been healing from the attacks, and those from the area who had been affected or killed in the attacks. And this is the Jambar editorial staff present day. You can see I'm at the end. Me and John are pretty tall, so we stand out. And we will always work to bring the best news and the worst news with that same unbiased grace that we first brought in 1931. Whether it's this editorial staff, the first editorial staff, or the editorial staff we'll have 94 years from now. Thank you. We present my friend and fellow reporter, Nicarlyle Hanchard.
Good morning. My name is Nicarlyle Hanchard. I am a reporter and a columnist for the Jambar. When I sat down to think about what I wanted to speak to the audience about this morning, I pondered several things, and I thought, what could I tell people who attend every lecture, are involved on campus or off campus in the media profession? And I thought to settle on a slight reminder. Many of us in this room are seniors or juniors, and we are looking toward graduation or an internship. And I thought to remind us of what our role is as media practitioners as we go forth. Firstly, we are the watchdogs for the government. Yes, that still applies today. We are to keep our elected officials in line, to remind them that they serve the people, and to hold them accountable when they step out. I would also extend that watchdog mentality to the wider society. There are many persons who hold influence over public discourse, and we have seen public discourse reach the desks and debates of lawmakers. So it's not so much about holding those with the influence in line, but to report the issues as they are, so the people that we represent can speak and make decisions that are of benefit to them and their families. Secondly, we are a profession for the people, by the people. Some people think that being a reporter and being in media, we have certain a certain level of privilege. I do not think that is so because all the laws that apply to the average citizen also apply to us. However, we are held to a higher standard than them because we are called to be ethical. We report on a lot of things and we report in the best interest of the people. Thus, we are held to that standard. It is not so much that we are privileged in doing so, it is a privilege to do so, but we do not have a privilege, we are not expunged or all the laws apply to us, just as they apply to everyone else, and for that reason we have to report accordingly. Third point, which might be my longest here, student media has provided me with an opportunity that I never thought I would have had at this moment. When friends, classmates, professors, even persons outside can stop me and say, hey, I read your column, or I read your article, and we can have discussions about the things that I spoke about in those articles, it fills me with a sense of pride and accomplishment. And I'm only like 6 months in as a reporter and I'm fairly new to this, but I feel like I have learned a lot these past 6 months that will take me further into my profession. I will not say that it is easy. There are times that I have had interviews. I left the room and my walk back to my car or to the office was me contemplating if I wanted to do this after I leave school. After I spent 5 years to get my degree, do I actually want to become a reporter? Then I have to remind myself why it is that I wanted to become a journalist in the first place, why I didn't choose law or to become a teacher first, but to choose reporting, because I want to serve people in a way that will make an impact. And so far at the Jambar, I have been doing that. Additionally, as a Jamaican, I am bound by our national pledge. In service of my fellow citizens, I promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace, to work diligently and creatively, to think generously and honestly, so that this world may, under God, increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play my part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. That is why I do what I do, and I hope this speech has inspired you to go forth today and onwards and be good reporters for the future. Thank you. I'd also like to welcome Ms. Masano.
Hi everyone, my name is Marissa Masano. I am the assistant sports editor and sports reporter for the Jambar. I also work for YSU Athletics as a communications assistant. And after all that, I am a current YSU women's soccer player at Youngstown State University. I just wanted to come up here and talk about my experience struggling being a Division I athlete, as well as working in media and especially student media. I'm from New Jersey, so never did I think I'd be reporting on what goes on Youngstown State campus. But when I was being recruited here, one thing that did stand out to me was the student media. Like John pointed out earlier, students at bigger schools don't have these opportunities. I was hired as a freshman, came on as a sports reporter. I did not know what a VOSOT was. I did not know what a package was. And I had to learn. And it's been 3 years of me developing, being a more confident speaker, a more confident writer, and a more confident journalist above all of that. So just for me, working within student media, I'm never shut down by my coaches, never shut down by athletics. And I have a brand to uphold. I have a brand to be a good citizen to Youngstown, represent the community, and also report positively and negatively on all topics. Not once do I feel the need to lie about what's going on in athletics. I mean, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, and I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to learn about what goes on behind those scenes. And it's just important to me that on this campus, we have the opportunity to report and give light to those student athletes who have worked really hard to be here. Coming from my standpoint, I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, this morning I was up at 5 a.m. I had a lift at 6. I'm not happy about it, but here I am. So just being able to give light to, we're a mid-major school. We're not Ohio State. We're not going to be competing in a Big Ten championship, and we're probably not going to be in the national tournament. It sucks, but here we are. So being able to give light to the student athletes and all the hard work they put in and report on people who break records, people who PR, people who win individual titles, it's important to me because I'm also trying to achieve those goals for myself. Me and my teammates haven't had good past seasons, but it's important to let people know. You have to let them know how hard you've been working. You have to let them know what your goals are, because everyone has goals for themselves. And as a student athlete, my goals are, one, to play my sport and to have pride in who I play for, and to secondly, after college, have a plan for myself. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with myself, I'm not going to the US national team. It's not for me at the moment. Maybe, probably not. But what my goal is to come out of here with a degree and come out of here with education and skills that isn't learned just inside the classroom. I've learned so much hands-on experience. There's nothing that makes up for that. I mean, you can sit down, take tests, you can sit down, have class discussions, fill out discussion posts, but nothing is like working hands-on, holding a camera, writing, interviewing. Like right now, at freshman year, I don't think I'd be up here because writing and speaking was not for me. So once again, a learning curve. And just within student media, I work a lot with social media. Every social media has a brand to uphold. I mean, you can't forge things, you can't force people to be people they aren't. So bringing out the best in people and highlighting people for who they are and who they want to be is really important to me. This past year, in the fall, I tore my ACL, so I've been out for 9 months. And something they tell you when you get recruited is, would you go to this school if soccer or sports was not on the table anymore? And after experiencing being out for 9 months, I would say yes. Because being in student media has allowed me to be involved in sports in ways I didn't think was possible. And also as a woman, growing up, you don't see a lot of women within sports, especially standing up talking and reporting on them. I mean, I'm from Philadelphia, so a lot of our reporters are men. I mean, just this past Super Bowl, like watching broadcasts from back home, there are women talking to these players and interacting with these players. And it's become a thing where men are not going to look down at you. You know what you're talking about. And I'm proud to say that I do know what I'm talking about, and I'm proud to be the person I am today because of my way of working within student media. Thank you. So next up, we have a fellow student athlete, Teziah Howard.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Marissa, for that powerful speech. My name is Teziah Howard, and I'm also a fellow athlete. As she said, I am a track and field runner, also a sports reporter and sports anchor for Jambar and Jambar Television. Today, I'm going to speak on brand management and reputation upon myself as a student athlete and other athletes around campus and the Jambar especially. I think it's important to realize that when you do participate in a sport for so many years, or you're a part of an organization or a company, one of the things that matters the most is how you're seen and how you're viewed, because one of our main goals is to push engagement and gain traction upon what we can do on social media or what we can do in person. And from the looks of it, I feel like we've been doing a great job each and every single day to power through how we're viewed on social media, how we're viewed in person, and basically be the person that we're meant to be and the person that we're striving to be. And it's all about the reputation. So the authenticity that you're putting out, being your true self, indulging in your true potential is going to be most important when it comes to NIL deals or when it comes to endorsements. And that's another thing that's as important as ever when it comes to someone like me, because it's not just me, putting my true self out there and being as authentic as possible. I want to make sure that someone is going to be moved, inspired, or, they're going to take something away from what I post on social media or what we post on social media. So when we first started in August, with this new year, we had Jambar Reels that we tried to push out every single week. And it was really important because sometimes we didn't always have an idea. Sometimes we didn't know what we were going to put on camera. Sometimes we didn't know what to wear. But that's also a part of our reputation. Having that brain fart, honestly, is really important, because that's just going to make us be who we truly are. It's going to make us think. It's going to require us to connect around each other. It's like a barrel of monkeys. I can't do anything without my teammates. I can't do anything without people wearing the same shirt as me or the same suit as me, or the people that are in the control room while I'm reading off of a teleprompter. It's really important that the teamwork aspect is a real part of our reputation, because it's not just me at the end of the day. It's not just me speaking to you guys, but you guys listening to what I'm saying, impacting me off of what I'm doing on stage or what I'm doing on the track or what an athlete is doing on the pool, or even the behind the scenes, what they're doing in the weight room, what they're doing in the training room. So I do really appreciate me standing up here, because like Marissa said, I also didn't believe that I was going to be up here in 2025, my senior year as a freshman. I didn't go here my freshman and sophomore year. I was a transfer athlete from Millersville University in Pennsylvania, small school. I'm pretty sure no one knows what that is, but it's important because that's a part of my journey and that was a part of my reputation. All the hardship and all the adversity it took for me to get here is what made me have this shirt on, what made me speak into this mic, and what made me, conjure a smile between everyone I've inspired or everyone that I've motivated. And honestly, it's shaping my true potential. And I really hope that it shapes everyone else's true potential because we can only be who we are. There's millions and billions of people on the planet, but you can be a lot of things. And if you're yourself, that's the only thing you really need to be. And I mentioned NIL and I mentioned your reputation because it's not just, it's bigger than yourself. And I say that from firsthand experience because I'm looking at all these different brands and some of these athletes are looking at all these different brands thinking what they could do better for the brand. But the brand also has an impact on you. They're reaching out to you for a reason. They're reaching out to the Jambar for the reason. They're sponsoring different people for a reason because they know that they're going to have a significant role in how they post on social media, how they gain traction, how they increase engagement. And in 2025, that's really what a lot of people are trying to go into. Social media has been changing our world for years, and it's going to be continuing to change. Obviously, as you've seen in Matt's PowerPoint, we had a completely different Jambar than now. The evolution, I'm so sorry, the evolution is very key and very significant to how we do every single day and how we become ourselves. And honestly, the journey between me at my old school and me here has been truly extensive. I mean, I started Jambar and Jambar TV in 2023, and shout out to Dylan Lux because he sat next to me and he was talking about it, and I didn't even know what it was. Like Marissa said, I wasn't aware of a package. I wasn't aware of VOSATs. I was just like, these are all capitalized in letters and they're acronyms. I'm not sure what I want to do. And also a shout out to Michelle Gatz as well because she really taught me how to become my true potential and put power into my writing and really speak from me and not just what people want to read. So when you guys look at the Jambars on the news stacks or when you look at it in a little bit of your circular table, I just want to make sure that you read that name, whoever wrote it, and then make sure you read everything around it. Because there are tens and tens of people who are around that writing, and it's not just the name that's above it, or it's not just the picture, it's not just the photographer who took it, but it's really a team aspect. And there are a lot of people that play key roles that aren't in this building, that are in this building, and I just hope to appreciate everybody who's been here, everyone who hasn't been here, because for me personally, it's been a journey and I love the journey and I'm really appreciative of everybody here and everyone who's not here. Thank you. I'm not gonna sit down yet without introducing Miss Katelyn, very apologetic, but she's gonna give you guys a wonderful speech as well.
Thank you, Teziah, for that. I appreciate it.
There's a clicker here too if you want that.
I do want a clicker.
There you go.
Yes, thank you. I was hoping for one. Okay.
Maybe that should.
Hello, everybody. My name is Katelyn Obermiyer, and I am a copy editor on the Jambar. So, bang.
Is it clicky?
Do you know what button it is? Ooh.
Got it? Oh wait, that one. Is it not working? Yeah, there it is. It's loading. So it's that one to go.
Okay. I'm going to back it up for a second. Thank you. Every Thursday morning, when the freshly printed 16-page spread of Youngstown State University's news hits the stands, there's always one section that doesn't tell the whole story. Whether you've picked up your copy and devoured the front page, or flipped right to the sports, it's okay, we don't judge. There's probably one portion that you've given little thought to, besides seeing the names and titles, and that's the staff list. While I'm new to the family staff that we lovingly call the Jamly, I know, clever, since I started as a copy editor in the fall 2024 semester, I've experienced the support, adaptability, respect, humor, and dedication that our student family has brought to this publication. To understand a little bit about our Jamly, I'm here to share some of the history, my memories, and the reasons the Jambar's atmosphere and connection drive the paper's continued success, from 1931 all the way until present and beyond. Welcome to our Jamly. To start, let's look at how the term Jamley first catches on in print. On Thursday, April 20th, 2009, the term Jamley was first used by former Editor-in-Chief Sarah Soule in her goodbye letter to the staff. Throughout it, Soule emphasizes times with the staff outside of work that brought her great memories. She explains that she was excited to see them even after she leaves the Jambar. And she emphasizes overall the experience and friends that she gained from working with her time, or on her time with the paper. Her letter gives audiences a glimpse into the inside family atmosphere that made her experience the best it could be. And while I wasn't with Soule, I can say that I share this same sentiment. In the years following, the term Jamley explodes onto the print scene in the 2010s and into the 2020s, from goodbye letters by departing seniors and other student staff. In every article, it mentions the success of the paper is enabled by the supportive staff that the Jambar cultivates. It also mentions the love of memories and insider jokes that still give me a laugh even though I don't quite understand them. And it always cites that the Jamley is a second family. And I can say that we still say this to today in the office, citing it as a second family. So while founder Burke Lydon didn't write about the family atmosphere, it was prevalent in his trips to the Jambar for over 70 years after graduating, and the memories he shared with the newest generations of Jamley members. He would come in and sit and explain his stories to the staff members. After his passing in 2001, former editor Angelo Giangolo penned a heartwarming tribute to the man who first wrote, then told, all the stories for the Jambar. With the care and honor present from her piece, Lydon's presence and views of the thousands of staff members over the years proved a family bond that keeps the Jambar strong and successful. Now, it's very rare that we share our own views and opinions in journalism, but I want to give a glimpse into our current Jamley and the characteristics that connect us to this paper's long-lasting success. The first characteristic that I would like to talk a little bit about is support. We're all students, we're all learning, but the main thing is that we're all willing to learn. AP style is difficult. Whether it's working with time, date, place, or how to spell three-pointers, which we've had various debates on. We learn specifically the way in which we want to shape our format and our story and follow those guidelines. Because ultimately, as a paper, we get a huge part in telling the stories of Youngstown State University. But we also support each other because we're willing to help each other succeed. Whether it's a story that comes in last minute or we forgot to write it, it's all right. We rally the troops, we get the paper done because it comes out on Thursday no matter what. And we want to put out the best work we can. Or whether that's getting B-roll, which again, I did not know the first time I came, or photos for others, we care about supporting one another. Another characteristic of our Jamley is adaptability. We problem solve. Journalism, we meet tight deadlines, and that's okay. Whether we might have to change a couple editorializing edits or come up with creative headlines when we're gathered around the computer at the end of the night, we are adaptable, we problem solve, and we work together as a team. We also take responsibility for our mistakes. As student media, our mistakes unfortunately are broadcasted in ways that other student organizations might not have. But we are quick to publish corrections, and we take responsibility for our mistakes because that is an opportunity for us to learn to grow. And we also resolve conflicts. We act quite a bit like siblings, and that's all right. We might poke fun at each other, but at the end of the day, we know that we all love each other and support the success of the paper. Thank you, John and Raeghan. I appreciate that. The third aspect of our family is respect. We collaborate and we listen to all ideas, no matter what it is, to make the paper as successful as it can be. Without ideas, the paper would be a little bit boring. It might have already fallen out of style, and that's okay. We use those ideas and we move forward. We also admire our staff members for their abilities and experience in whether it's editing stories or editing videos for Jambar TV, Jambar and 10. Guys, I couldn't do that. Props to the editors. Or the paper's designers. You guys do an amazing job in your work. Another aspect, humor. We tell jokes all the time, and that makes it even more exciting to come into work. Whether it's everybody's fabulous impressions, which I wish they could have given you a little bit of today, but that's okay, or the fact that we poke fun at each other, there's always a laugh to be had in the office that makes it that much more enjoyable. And our last one is dedication. We care about the success of this paper. We care about reporting. And while it's nice to win awards, which fingers crossed, come on guys, we got this, we care about bringing stories that are the best they can be to our YSU community. Overall, our Jamily displays the characteristics of a family, and the connection of our work creates an atmosphere that enables our committed success. Now, I'm sad to say that after this semester, a majority of the Jamily members that I've become so close with will leave and move on to bigger and better opportunities. And while I am extremely happy for them, it's bittersweet because one of our family members is leaving. Y'all better come back and visit us, okay? I hope that in their goodbye letters, they write about the love and impact of our Jamily like so many before. I hope our Jamily support, adaptability, respect, humor, and dedication remain with them as we forever share this piece of our college history together. As the paper will return after spring break and continue into the future, the Jamily will be the backbone for the Jambar's success in an evolving group of student experience. And even though we shouldn't make promises in journalism, I can guarantee, as long as the Jambar is running, the Jamily will be there to keep the paper a work of art. Thank you. And now I have the honor to welcome head designer Madison Fessler to the stage. You good? Okay.
There we go. Thank you, Katelyn. That was very touching and a great nostalgic look back. I'm Madison Fessler. I've been working for the Jambar since October of 2021, so when I talk about nostalgia, I've got a lot of it. I've been through many iterations of the Jamily. But I'm going to talk today about paper design and kind of how it ties into Student Press Freedom Day and what we're talking about with this event. So design, it's integral to the readers. It's what gets them to even pass a glance to the paper. It gives the story structure. It adds elements to a story that you can't describe in words by adding the visuals and the photos. And people, though we don't want to judge a book by its cover, people will look to the photos first to get a sense of what that story is. And selfishly, my lovely assistant designer, Christina, and I will admit that we are not as creative when it comes to paper design with lackluster visuals. Anybody in this room could tell you that I get on their cases a lot about the photos and making sure that the design looks good. With cut lines, they tell a part of the story. Readers, after looking at the photo, will look to the cut line to get more information and get a feel of what they're going to read in that story as well. Jambar uses cut lines to provide additional information. Of course, most newspaper publications will have a longer cut line, possibly describing the photo or adding more information. The Jambar, we primarily do it for additional information. An example would be a photo of something, of a flyer, and we would say, the event is at this time, this day, this place. Just so readers can look at the photo and immediately know what's going on. So when we were talking about freedom of the press, obviously we're talking about it in the sense of the First Amendment and being government watchdogs. But freedom of design trickles down from that. Having the freedom to just design however we want and make the paper look however we feel, within parameters, obviously. But in a sense, design is my style of writing. I don't write a lot for the Jambar, so design is how I express myself. And it's how we express the news. Truly, it's how we display everything. And every editor-in-chief is different. I've been so lucky and fortunate with my time at the Jambar to work under 6 incredible editors-in-chiefs, and each one's different. They have a varying level of input. Some are more design-focused, some are more content-focused, but all input is welcome, especially if Christine and I don't have an idea for our page. Excuse you. Especially if Christine and I don't have an idea for our page, somebody else will have an opinion and they will have that input. Along with my experience being at the Jambar, I now have the opportunity to make suggestions to the budget. What pages might look better together on a spread on a page instead of maybe a different story, and making sure that each week looks different, save for the first and last week of the paper where it's our classic red and black. Along with freedom of design and that trickle down, we have the freedom of photography. It's, like I said, the biggest part of design. It's what people are looking for. And there's multiple laws surrounding photos. There's inherent copyright. Any photo that you take is inherently yours and cannot be reproduced without that release, save for work for hire, which is what the Jambar does. Obviously, all of our photographers are allowed to use their photos for their own portfolio, but all those photos also make it into the Jambar archive, and we can use time and time again. And then taking photos in public versus private. This is something that I harp on the beginning of every semester just so that we don't have problems with it. Taking photos in public, as long as you're on public property, you can take a photo of anything in plain sight, even if that. Christina, I taught you better. You're okay, I love you. But taking photos in public, you're able, as long as you're in a public space, you can take a photo of anything, even if that is into somebody's house. As long as you're in a public space, you're fine. Private, you must gain permission from the owner. And then we are privileged as a student-run newspaper to have access to so many sources for photos. Anything taken by a YSU account, we are able to use with due credit. But we can take anything from sports to student organizations to archival photos, not just from the Jambar, but the mock archives as well. And we're privileged as a student newspaper to make the paper look however we see fit. Thank you, and I will bring up Abby to talk about Rookery Radio.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you to my fellow classmates for coming, and also to my coworkers. Can we give them another round of applause for everything that they've done today? So I'm going to focus on a different medium of journalism and the radio aspect of it. So Rookery Radio was established at YSU in 2011, and because of COVID, things kind of went downhill a little bit. But when I came to YSU, I saw that empty, lonely station sitting in the cove, and it was dark and sad looking, and I'm like, what is going on? So I got in touch with Dan McCormick, the advisor for Rookery Radio, and he expressed to me that they are in the process of getting it up and running. John was amazing. Thank you so much for helping Sarah and I get that started. And when I told him that I was interested, I think it just kind of took off from there. Like it was amazing how fast Rookery Radio grew. One thing that I like to tell people to keep in mind is they try to look back on old Rookery Radio, and I want them to understand that we are under new management. We have new equipment, new applications, programming, new hosts, just new everything. So we're kind of building this from the ground up from COVID. And let me just say, in this past year of building Rookery, it has grown so much. And Matt, one of our hosts, he was one of our first hosts besides me, and just seeing him grow and just watching us work together and figure things out has really been amazing. Unfortunately, I tried getting my other co-host here, but co-manager, she had to work. But if I didn't mention that, I am one of the managers for the station. And let me just say, so I tend to talk about where I come from a lot, and I come from a small town in Noble County, so small, so hick and country that we actually call it Noble-tucky. And we're from the Appalachians, the mountains, so we don't get very good radio waves down there. We only get the country stations. And coming up here really opened my eyes. It made me realize that the world can be our oyster and we can grow as people. And I want to take a minute and kind of talk about how radio relates to freedom of press. So Rookery Radio is internet streaming radio. We are technically not under the FCC regulations. And I think I feel like that still doesn't apply to the fact that we still have morals and ethics, and we're representing YSU. And I really want to shout out my host, because I think they do a fantastic job of following those morals and ethics, and still following those rules of the FCC, but also just keeping in mind that they have that freedom to talk about what they want. One thing I've noticed about some of the speeches today is that, we give the facts, and we absolutely do. But radio brings in that medium of also voicing our opinions and about those facts. We have a safe space for our students, our staff, and faculty. That is their space to come in and talk about music, sports, trains, even do a show in French if you want. Anything you want to talk about, we want you to have that voice and have that space to voice those opinions. And it's going to be bittersweet. I know we've talked about a lot of bittersweetness because we have a lot of the student media family leaving, me being one of them. And in the past year, I've grown a lot as a person, as a leader. And I think working with Rookery Radio has taught me how to work with all the different kinds of people. And yes, you can get mad, but in the end, you have to represent YSU, and you're representing student media, because that's what Rookery Radio is. That's what Jambar is. And speaking of Jambar, I am also the assistant producer for Jambar TV. And before I call her up, I just want her to know that she has taught me a lot. And you helped me grow, Raeghan. So, yeah, I know. You helped me grow and be a better leader. So, thank you so much for coming out and supporting student media. And Raeghan, you want to take it away?
Hi, everyone. If you don't already know me, my name's Raeghan Hilton, and I'm the executive producer for the Jambar TV. I have a very short, I swear I'm not going to give you guys for long, because we have 4 minutes. I know we kind of want to wrap it up. It's not my fault. John wanted to save the best for last. So, quick little presentation. I just wanted to show you guys some of the changes we've seen from Jambar TV in the last year. We kind of had the whole rebrand, so if you can see on the board, this logo looks a little different than you've seen in the past. Kind of just updated, modernized a little bit. So yeah. But with that being said, if you guys don't already know, we upload our shows on our YouTube channel. We kind of updated this a little bit. Like I said, the new logo and everything's up there. And also, our new shows are all linked on the homepage. So if you guys want to go check those out, everything's linked right there for you guys. So it's readily available for you guys to find. And then, if you guys didn't already know, we actually have 3 different shows now. So originally it was just Jambar TV. We did a 30-minute show once a week, which was awesome, but we kind of wanted to switch things around moving forward. So instead, we now have 3 shows, the Jambar in 10, the Jambar News Magazine, and the Jambar Sports Extra. The Jambar in 10 is kind of structured similarly to the original Jambar TV. Kind of goes through news, student life, and sports all in one. Kind of anything you really need to know, any important topics are all going to be in that show. In 10 minutes, get the information you need, put it all together. So that goes up every Friday at noon. And then the Jambar News Magazine is more student-based. You're going to see more relating to the students, event-type stuff, maybe more features about what different students or staff on campus have going on. And then the Jambar Sports Extra is all things sports. And also to go beyond that, it's not just updating you guys on if we're being successful or whatever in sports, it's also giving features to whatever sports-related events are going on as well. And those alternate going up on Mondays. So for example, this week we have a news magazine coming out, and then the next week we will have a sports extra coming out. But yeah, like to wrap it up, please go check out the YouTube channel. We have so many people in studio and in office that put so much work into these as well. It's from my editors to my reporters, everything. And also check out our social medias. We also have, we've been updating our Instagram a lot more recently, and we also have a TikTok now if you guys are on there. Thank you guys.
Well, as they say, all good things must come to an end. But of course, thanks again so much. Thank you for our presenters here today who did a wonderful job. They always talk about you always want to put your best foot forward. This over here is our portfolio of excellence that Youngstown State Student Media provides to this campus. But again, as we talk about all of these wonderful presentations, I just wanted to say thank you again to everyone who put their time, hard work, and dedication into today's program, especially in order for this event to take place. So let's give everyone here a round of applause. But before I officially end today's program, there's one final closing remark I really want to drive home. If you ever feel that you're faced with uncertainty within the journalistic field, broadcasting, multimedia, there's always people to help you. Never feel like you're stuck or you're drowning on your own. There'll always be a lifeline to help you in this industry. It might not always be readily available to you, but the harder you look, the easier it is to succeed in this industry. Again, thank you so much to everyone here today, Jambar TV, Jambar, even my Jambar contributors from News Content 1, 2, and 3 as well. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.